Good morning, friends.
Hey, who's ready for a side project here on the homestead?
I love side projects.
Yes, me too.
So, we're down at the legendary Goat Barn container, which you all funded. It's Adelai's dream project, and we loved working on it. And we really enjoyed the shipping container part of the project.
Yeah, so we thought, you know what? We could use another shipping container.
Or maybe two.
Or like a flat area to work on.
Yeah.
So why not do both?
Yes, we're dubbing this, as of today, the Container Shop Project.
Oh, okay.
I just made that up.
Okay.
And so there's going to be a few phases. This is a very long-term project. It's going on in the background behind our house project. But let's explain the big idea.
Okay, first up, phase 1 is going to be, we need a flat area to be able to work on. Eventually, I'm going to be building cabinets for the house and other things. It would be nice to have a flat, workable surface.
We build so many things and we do it in the dirt, on the ground, and it's ridiculous. So, yes, having a large, flat, clean pad where we can have big tools we roll around. We could pull the cars in and do maintenance on them.
Oh, wow.
That would be incredible.
Yeah. But we also need storage. As of right now, we have one storage container in town, and we go back and forth kind of often, and it would be so nice to just have everything we own here on the property.
Right, so our idea is to get a smaller container, like a 20-foot container, set that perpendicular to the goat barn, but then get another 40-foot that runs parallel to the goat barn, with a big concrete pad in between for working. So the 40-foot will be a workshop. It'll have most of our tools, especially our big tools that hopefully we'll be getting in the future.
Maybe one day there'll be a table saw there.
Yeah. And we got the Jackery 5000 Plus, so we know that we can power high draw items now, which we couldn't really do before. We didn't tell them about phase 3 though.
Oh, phase 3. Put a roof over the whole thing and catch a whole bunch of rainwater.
And put a whole bunch of solar on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're thinking very, 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 very long term. Like we said, this is a years long project. And we're going to get started on it right now.
Let's go.
Before we can level and compact the area where the concrete pad and the containers need to go, first we need to clear some brush and most importantly deal with the mini split that we installed over the goat barn container. So probably the trickiest part about this project is that the way we're going to do this, we want to pour this concrete pad right up to the goat barn container, but there's a mini split on the outside. It's already connected, it's in the way. So here's what we're going to do. You can actually recover the refrigerant into the outside unit and disconnect it, and then it's like it was brand new, shipped from the factory. So I'm a little nervous about this step, but I'm going to get my tools and we're going to see how it goes. Guys, look what Ada got me for my birthday this year. I have an actual electrician's bag, finally. What are you doing in here? What are you doing in here? Manifold gauge. Okay, here's what we're going to do. When a mini split unit gets shipped to you, all the refrigerant is in the outside unit, and then you go through this whole vacuum process, which we've done a few times, to release the refrigerant to the inside unit, and then depending on how you're using it, it's going to move that refrigerant back and forth. You can actually recover this refrigerant back into the outside unit and cap it off so you can disconnect it and move it. So that's what we're going to do. First step, we want to open up the service port on this so that we can attach our gauge to it so we can see what the pressure is like. This is going to attach to your manifold gauge, and you want to make sure that the gauge is actually closed because you don't want to release any of this refrigerant out into the air. And then there's going to be just a little bit of release as you put this on. Actually, I guess we had a safety one, so it kept it from leaking out while we did it, which is nice. All right, so we're already showing positive pressure. So the other thing we'll want to do right now is go ahead and take these side caps off. And one video I watched said just to kind of listen to make sure there's not any leaking sounds as you start to do that, just in case. I mean, there shouldn't be, but you never know. That would mean that you hadn't tightened this down enough, when you actually did the install. I think we're good. I didn't hear anything. Now we need to go inside and turn the unit on. It's a little cold in here. We've had this off for a while because we wanted to make sure we could keep it warm enough without the mini split running, since we knew it would be disconnected in the middle of winter. It's only 47 degrees, so I'm hoping this will work. We're gonna turn it all the way down and we'll see if it works. All right, it's trying. Hi, excuse me. Compressor has not kicked on out here yet. Well, it's too cold. I tried to turn the air conditioner on and it enacted the subcooling feature. I don't know. It was throwing an error. It's like, it's too cold. I can't make it colder. So I'm running the heater now. We're going to try to heat it up inside there as much as possible. And I think part of it is the outside temperature. We're on the north side of this building. It's in the shade. It's low 40s, but the wind chill is making it feel colder. So we're going to heat it up inside here, wait till it's a little warmer outside here in a couple hours, and we'll try it again. Fingers crossed. Hello, we're back out. We ran the heat, it got really warm in here. So I was just running a quick test, but now that it's been warmed up in here, it looks like it's working. So we're gonna give this just a minute to ramp up. The compressor was kicking on just a second ago, so as soon as that starts going, we'll head outside and we'll do the procedure. Okay, so we're going to close the liquid or the small line. So now what's happening is on this gauge, this is dropping. And we're going to wait till it goes all the way down to 0. And then we're going to close the service port and then pull the power real fast so we don't damage the unit. It's to 0. I'm going to let it go just a second longer to make sure it goes negative.
You heard it? You hear the change?
Yeah.
Good.
And then we'll turn it off. So before we disconnect anything, we're just going to keep an eye on this. This is just a little bit past the 0, so I mean it is negative. This should just pop off and there shouldn't be any gas noise. Didn't hear anything. Alright, now the thing we got to be careful about, I really should have kept the little plastic caps that came with it. I didn't think I was ever gonna move it, but I should have kept them. I didn't. So we're just gonna tape these off. You don't want any dirt to get in them. Air isn't a huge deal because we're gonna be re-vacuuming the line when we reinstall it, but we definitely want to keep debris out of it, and we want to protect those fittings as well when there's going to be a bunch of work going on over here. So we're going to do our best to protect these real quick. So far so good. This was the hard part. The rest of it's just unhooking the electrical, unbolting it from the concrete pad, and then we'll just move it wherever we want. One thing that wasn't super conclusive from my research was this hose possibly having some air in it. All the videos I watched of people doing this, nobody ever did anything to bleed that line. Supposedly, if you want to, you can just release that for a second, which means you are going to release some of that gas into the air, which you're not technically supposed to do. Maybe that's why it's not on the videos. I don't think it's a huge deal either way, but that is something to think about. It's just something I couldn't figure out for sure. So shouldn't be a huge problem, but we'll see.
Where are we gonna keep it?
I think we should put it like in the garage or something where it's a little more protected. And I want to put it with the goats. Just like that. So the other small wrinkle with this is if we pour a pad kind of right up to this, You might remember we did this whole grounding system over here for the goat barns, an Ufer ground. It's like a concrete block. And so we have these ground rods coming up, but also a concrete slab under here that runs from here all the way down to that other hole that we've already dug. And so we're just going to make sure they know about that, and we'll have to figure out how to work around it, like if we end up just covering it completely. Right there, that's the ground rod. So maybe like we put in some kind of little like sleeve or something that comes up so that there's still a connection point, or maybe we just cover it. I don't, like once it's connected, we shouldn't have to disconnect it.
What if you have to add on to it though?
That would definitely sort of stop that as an option. I mean, the other thing you could do, because remember the ground still comes out of the inverter inside and it grounds to the container, and then it connects to everything else. So, I mean, if you really, really needed to, you might be able to, but you're not really supposed to do more than one wire under a lug. Unless you put like a second one in. I don't know. It wouldn't be great. It wouldn't be to code, I can tell you. Now that the mini split is out of the way, it's time for Wilcox Rock and Sand to come and level and compact the area. So while we've been working on the Hyper-W roundhouse, our friends at Wilcox Rock and Sand have been prepping this area for the concrete pad, right? So you can see they built up, they level and compacted this whole section. Maybe it'll be a little easier to see. We're going to have a 20-foot container that comes here, and then another 40-foot container that goes down there, and then eventually we'll have a roof over it. But yeah, so they've already put the forms in, they've got the rebar, and we're going to have ourselves sort of a little walkway here because we're going to set this 20-foot container back and then put a door, and that way if we're coming from this direction, which will be most of the time, we can get into this area. We'll walk through here to get to the main workspace. Also, they dug a small footing right here because this will be sort of the only area where we might drive a vehicle up onto it. So this section needs to be a little bit more supported. Everything else is going to have a container right up against it. Container right there. They're pouring right up to the container, and then container right there. So the rest of the corners don't really need any additional support. So supposedly they're coming today to pour this concrete pad, which is very exciting.
Guess who's here? The concrete. So it's time to go watch them pour that pad.
So it's been about a month. This pad has cured, and so now we're going to reinstall this outside mini split unit so we can do the concrete anchors down into the ground. Also, we're going to move it down. I think it was here, but because we want this to be like a walk through and there's going to be a container right here, we don't want it to be in the way as we walk into this space. So I'm undoing these copper lines. Looks like we have plenty. We could even move it down a little further if we wanted to, potentially. And by the way, we did end up leaving access to those two ground rods. We just found a couple of valve boxes, cut them to 5 inches tall, and then Wilcox installed them when they poured the pad. We've just been trying to figure out how all of these new electrical wires and the gas lines are all going to mount to the container and come down to this new spot. So now that we know where that is, we're going to go ahead and mount the outside unit, because as we start to make those gas connections in particular, we don't want this unit to move because it's very easy to break those copper flare seals. So we're going to drill into the concrete, put our concrete anchors in, set it in, get it tightened down, and then we'll move to the next step. Will it fit? Oh, come on.
What did you do?
It's just a little tight. There. It's fine. It's all right.
Today's the day.
The next phase of I don't even know what we're calling it yet. The storage container is coming today. It's a 20-foot shipping container. It is going to go perpendicular to the goat barn, but offset a little bit for our 4-foot walkway. You've been working over here. You got all the pavers set and ready to go. It's all leveled.
Yeah.
Should be much easier than last time. We learned a few things.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So you're just going to pull back in here, drop it, and go.
Yeah, now this is just the 20-foot container that we're getting today. This is for storage. Eventually they'll be cutting a door into it and a window, but today we're just happy to have it here.
Yeah, I'm ready to get our stuff out of storage is what I'm ready
Heck
to
yeah.
do.
Cold coffee, my old boots are by the door. Nobody's calling, but I don't mind it 'Cause I've had enough of the rat race, the city life, the social grace. Burnt out on confidence, so tired of keeping score. Gonna find somewhere to slow it down, buy a little place way out of town. Gonna take my time, 'cause it's all mine. Trade my pride for a quiet life. Maybe then my time will come around, way out of town.
We have to give a huge shout out to our new local container source, Nick Bisnet. He delivered on a tight timeline, gave us a great deal, and backed that thing up into place the very first time. Plus, the container itself is in amazing shape. If you're in the market for a new container here in Cochise County, Nick's contact info is in the description of this video. Make sure to tell him we sent you. Now, next up, it's time to clean out our storage unit in town and get organized.
Talk to the trees, get myself a dog and build a heart of gold. Gonna find somewhere to slow it